Hello and welcome to Women Talk. My name is Anita Woo and I'm thrilled to be part of the Women Talk family. Today we're talking about something that affects us all and is increasingly becoming more important, especially after COVID-19, and that's health. Not just health, but how do we move from reacting to when problems happen and addressing our health only then to shifting towards something that's a bit more preventative. So today, specifically, we'll explore how women especially can nourish their bodies towards healing and lifelong vitality through better nutrition as well as lifestyle changes. And I'm thrilled to have with us two very special guests with me today. And they are Daing Fatin Zulaika, who is a food and preventative care nutritionist, as well as Syed Haris Omar, who is a wellness coach. Thank you so much for joining us and being on the show, and thank you for making the time. Okay, let's get straight into the topic, right? So far, the preoccupation, especially with women, tends to be that we think about, oh, I've lost weight or I've put on weight. So it's about looking good and managing weight. When in actual fact, the key thing about health is actually nutrition.
Yes.
So, Fatin, let's start with you. I understand that you are used to using food as a nutritionist as a form of preventative medicine and in consulting your clients. Can you tell us what is really kind of like missing in terms of where people are not educated as much as they should be in terms of nutrition and their health?
Yes, thank you for that question. So when it comes to nutrition and health, I think in the past there's so much emphasis on the fats. So there will be trends towards throughout the phases of different what's popular of the time. So let's go back to what is the fundamentals that we need in our body. So like the nutritions like your minerals, your vitamins, those are quintessential in your daily life, right? So I think moving away from those fats...
You mean fat diets?
Fat diets.
Okay. I thought you meant like fat, lemak.
No, not lemak. Fat diets is very important.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And actually looking into a balanced nutrition or balanced diet.
Balanced diet as well. So I think moving towards a more moderate approach of how we treat nutrition is very important. The mindset towards a more moderate approach. Yeah.
In your clients, what are you seeing that's been the common mistake besides going through fad diets? Like, what do you think has been the issue in terms of what are they not having enough of in their diets? You know, especially as Malaysians.
Yeah. When you eat certain foods, so I would start usually the diet to have like salads of, you know, if Malay, we would have the ulam. So start it with that. So your sugar levels will not spike up to that. Then move to proteins and then carbohydrates. So
sequence of how we consume our macros.
Yeah, macros is really important in having a sustained diet.
So how does this tie in to what you do and your clients especially?
Okay, so obviously, I think when we're talking about diet, exercise, it's two things that you want to do together. When we speak about generally holistic wellness, there's other things that come in as well, but it all has to be done at the same time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so now all the pieces are coming together. You're like, first there's a sequence, and now you're saying that actually you can't just do the exercise, it has to come together with good nutrition. Okay, carry on, Haris.
Yep, so it's one of those things that I think a common misconception is if you focus on one, you're going to be okay. But so people would maybe go on crash diets, but then after a while not see any changes. They might just go full on exercise and not see any changes. Whereas now I think people are starting to understand that it takes, you have to see it as a
holistic picture,
yes,
the two together.
The whole thing, the whole package. So, but it doesn't mean that you have to be perfect at one. You just need to touch on all of it and do it together.
That can seem overwhelming for some. So, I mean, I think this is something that we can continue chatting about after this in terms of actually how simple it can be, you know, because at the moment, I think everyone's just thinking, oh no, if I have to do nutrition as well as exercise, count my micros, count my macros, you know, it seems like a lot. So let's break that down to something a little bit more accessible and bite-sized and actually what people can start making changes at home today, right after this break. to Women Talk. We have with us on the show today two of the guests, and we're talking about health. And we're talking about something that's very, very pertinent, because we're wondering why it is that when people say that, okay, I'm moving better, I'm doing more exercise, and I'm eating better, but I'm still stressed, I'm still not sleeping well, or I still have like mood swings, say, for example. So can we talk a little bit more about that? You know, so you said, so the first piece was you saying that it's important to get the key nutrition and a balanced diet. And you've said that it's really important to watch what you're eating, Harris, as well as that exercise and movement.
I think, well, the more general things, if we're just to lay them out. So regular exercise, a good diet, making sure that you sleep well, and also doing things that you are that you like. I think these are the kind of the four bases that you would start with. I'd say that's the basics that you want to touch on. Again, these are the things that you want to kind of do together at the same time, focusing on it. If I were to add something else, which would, I think, change things, would be regular health checkups.
Okay.
Something that you can practice. You're supposed to do it once a year, but who really does it?
Yeah. I mean, we'll touch more on that later. But okay, the idea was also to say, okay, it's actually simpler than we think, right? To get in movement, to eat better. So what would you say, how would you start? How do you start incorporating movements, like small steps into your day? If you don't know where to start, how would you advise your client?
Okay, so my go-to, especially because I get a lot of first-timers, people who are just starting out on fitness, I actually recommend them to even not do the class, kind of just like watch the class and move with us.
Yeah.
But these guys, I would usually tell them, start with 15 minutes a day, maybe a walk outside. That's the easiest way you can do it. And slowly build it up, because it will compound. Once you keep on doing it, you naturally just want to
keep the momentum.
Exactly. Find different ways how to do it. Maybe you want to do more. Maybe you do half an hour the next day.
Yeah.
Maybe next week you do an hour.
Would you say consistency then is key?
Consistency is definitely the key. That's how you build it. You need to nurture the discipline for actually wanting to do the exercise. And once you know how it helps you, you keep on going. You don't even have to think about it anymore.
Okay, because a lot of people are thinking, all right, I'm going to buy a whole new set of dumbbells. I'm gonna really go at it. I'm going to lift heavier and heavier. So it's not actually about the intensity, is it?
No, not at all. I'm quite against like the intensity will come, right? Yeah.
But you have to kind of build those building blocks, right? Small habits that kind of grow over time consistently.
So yeah, like for example, the clients that go through my clinic, I wouldn't recommend them to straight on start with exercise. As you said, I really agree on that. I look at the mind first. So I think when we approach psychologists, that's why we have it in our center as well. We have psychologists. We look at what's the purpose of you doing this first before you go to that. The mind comes first, the intention, and then everything else will fall through. So when you have a strong mind in saying that I want to do movements. So as you said, movements is very important. As much as housework is a type of movement.
True. I mean, let's not underestimate that.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's actually what people underestimate. It's kind of like, okay, how do I make a chore more fun? How do I burn more calories while doing housework? So it's kind of like, and as you said, changing a mindset and approach about things.
Yes.
So I love that you said that, you know, because I think what needs to change first and foremost is, why do I want this change?
Yes.
Right? Carry on with that. What have you seen in your clients that you think has been kind of like a good tip? Like you've like, oh, you've done that. That's new.
Yes, being kind to yourself. So like I do have quite obese clients who really want to change their lifestyle. So what I would recommend is like, instead of taking the stairs, you have to take the stairs instead of taking the lift. So those are one of the steps you can take on your daily lives.
Parking further away.
I think, just
that's good.
Have an idea to just do it.
Yeah.
Don't think too much, too deeply, because our mind is actually the biggest stumbling block of how we do certain things in life.
Or your biggest ally.
Your biggest
depending
ally.
on how you change that perspective, right?
I'd say, I think one big thing that people underestimate is doing, and I think we touched on it a little bit, but just doing in any sort of workout, whether it's a stretch or even a breathing exercise, but with purpose. There's a big difference when you're present and when you're there actually acknowledging the movements that you're making, how it makes you feel.
Wow.
And you take away all of that instantly in that space. You know, in my classes, I repeat this time and time again because it just generally, there's so many distractions that come in. You know, a thought might just come out, but we should practice being in the moment more and in turn setting purpose when it comes to your movement.
Okay, I think that's really key, that mindfulness, right? And purpose when we're doing something. So right after this break. So stay tuned. Welcome back to Women Talk. We're here with Daing Fatin as well as Syed Harris, and we're talking about nutrition, wellness and exercise and how the future of health is actually evolving, and people's mindset around health and wellness is going more towards not just being healthy, but how do we unlock that kind of long-term vitality, right? Because it's not just good enough to just be healthy. It's how do you live with more years in your life as much as you have life in your years. That's how I like to think of it. So, Fatin, let's get back to you. And you were saying something very interesting earlier about the gut microbiome and nutrition. So can you tell us more a bit of how we can start making that simple change in our diet?
Yes, as I said before, increasing the intake of fermented foods like kimchi probably, and we do have kefir or kombucha. It's a nice addition to beverage.
Yeah.
So those microbiome, because in the past we've been so exposed with taking antibiotics that will create antibiotical resistance. And that really affects our microbiome because everything comes from the gut. Onwards to your brain, to every parts of your body. You need that for movements and such.
Let's talk about something that across the board affects everyone and something that we can do as easily as possible, as easily as today. And it's the sequence of consuming food you were saying earlier.
The sequence of consuming foods will affect the glucose, your blood glucose level. It will spike if you get, as you said, simple sugars would do that. So resistant starch is another good way.
So what should we eat first in a meal?
In a meal, you should start with a salad if you have, or vegetables, you know. Not everyone gets a salad every day.
Yeah.
So I'm a Malaysian myself, like I would start with something with fibrous and then you move on to your proteins and then eat less of the carbohydrates if possible. But it so depends on if you're doing certain training. That's a different type of diet. But I'm generally speaking for women in general, who's like relatively trying to be healthy, not trying to achieve a certain training goals.
Okay, so Harris is actually touted as like one of Malaysia's top spin instructors, on top of being a holistic aspect to his wellness and coaching. So Harris, I mean, and I hear you've got a lot of female clients actually. Predominantly. Tell us more about what your opinion is in terms of food and nutrition and training.
Okay, thank you for that compliment, by the way, Anita. Appreciate it. I hope I earned that. Okay, so yes, predominantly my classes that I run are, I'd say 80-90% women. So I've been doing this for about 8 years. So I get a lot of them will come to me asking questions, whatever they need health related. And I think one of the things that come up a lot is diet. What do we eat for the classes? What do we take in post-class, pre-class? How does it help with recovery? And one of the main things that I try to get them to focus on is looking at food as fuel.
Okay.
I feel like previously,
we're
women,
afraid.
I'd say, I say men eat, men eat, guys like to eat. But I feel like there's this fear with women we're eating food, and I feel it's not their fault. It's just people will say you're eating too much, you're eating the wrong things and all that. You should be looking at food as fuel. You need carbs. Carbs is good. Carbs gives you energy to do an exercise. Post-class, you need protein.
Okay.
Protein builds your muscles. It helps you recover, regenerates your muscles, builds your muscles. Fats is good for you as well.
Right.
It's the biggest source of energy that you can have.
So when do you consume the fats, ideally? Before or after a workout?
So again, it depends on what you're doing. If you are a person who is high in activity, like you work out a lot, you maybe have a job that requires more work, then defo more fat, more carbs before training for sure as well.
Okay.
Look at it as sources of fuel. Take that in because you will burn it, and then after that, it helps you in recovery as well. So you need to look at it as a whole and use it for what you are doing.
Okay. And what about you, Fatin, in that sense? Have you noticed, in a nutrition sense, women going through our cycles?
Yeah.
We may not have, and Harris, I mean, you too, right? As in, like, there are definitely differences in energy levels and performance in that sense. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes. So my recent exposure to the biohacking conference that I went to Helsinki, so I've been exposed to how women have these 4 phases in life, and how do you say, like, PMS is affecting you? It is really physiologically, it does affect you. So you have to understand when you are at different cycles of your life where your energy is most.
Okay, so to tie it up together with, say, for example, someone who is also training and taking care of their food and things like that, don't be so hard on yourself if you're not able to do what you usually do.
Yeah.
Is that what you'd say? Especially, in terms of like how it links to your menstrual cycle.
Yes.
Okay. If you could just start with a bite-sized thing, a change that you could do today, what is it?
Okay, bite-sized. I think the main thing that you should focus on is to find your purpose, find your why in whether it's exercising or healthy eating, just generally, why do you want to pick up these healthy lifestyle habits?
Even if it's a small thing, like just to feel better?
Yep, it should be something that makes you feel better, You should want to, like for me, like I always have this idea of when I'm older, I want to be able to run with my kids.
Vitality and long-term vitality, right? It's how much life you want to have even in your years. It's not just about the years of your life. Yeah.
So that, and so I think with something like that, when it's deeply rooted into your soul, you put purpose to it. It's something that you can carry on because, again, it's a lifestyle.
And specific.
We're going to be doing it for the rest of our lives until we can. So it's not short. It's very long and it's not easy as well.
Yeah.
But if you have your why, you'll find your way.
That's powerful. Thank you, Harris. Fatin?
I think the mindset towards like being moderate in the food that you take. Like, for example, if you have a little bit of this much, maybe you can go through a certain intermittent fasting. That's what I do personally because I run restaurants and I have to do a lot of hosting and everything. So be aware of what you do today. And I think another thing that you can do is personalize nutrition. It's a good precursor of how you want to know what nutrients are you actually lacking and you need more. So I think that gives us a bit of a baseline of how you want to see what you're lacking in parts of your body.
I think that's absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
And I would say another thing, I love to touch about a little bit on sleep.
Okay.
Sleep is very important for women's cycle, as I just mentioned before. So I personally have magnesium oil and rub it at the sole of my feet. Yeah. And it's also good post-exercise because while you're exercising, you uptake the magnesium in your body. So that would help you relax further and recover. And I think that's essentially what I like to do.
Thank you. That's a very personal, actionable tip.
For sure. Who doesn't like a good foot rub before you sleep?
It's so nice.
Just make sure that there's some magnesium in it. Yeah, good to know. Thank you so much. What an amazing conversation with you both today. Thank you once again for making the time to be here and sharing with us your input and your wisdom and your experience. You both have made it very, very clear that actually the journey to wellness and unlocking lifelong longevity doesn't have to be complicated at all. So to our dear viewers, let's remember that it's never too late to prioritize your health. And in fact, the best time is now. It's today. And let's make this this year, the year that we nourish ourselves inside out. Don't forget to follow us on IG as well as YouTube. Follow us on IG at Women Talk TV3 and at TV3 Malaysia. And subscribe to our YouTube channel at TV3 Malaysia to get the latest updates from Women Talk. So, see you all in the next episode. Thank you for being with us today.